we'll send it around on the YouTube channel. Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Great. How are you guys?
Good. You in Sebastopol?
Yes, I am.
All right. Good. All right. We're going to start because we didn't have a company-wide meeting today. We're going to let Ashley and Michaela do our Agent of the Month recognition. And no, Rob, you already won. I don't think you're going to win again. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me just share my screen with you guys. So 1 second. Okay, are you guys seeing my screen all right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm very excited to kind of go over March Agent of the Month. Just another reminder for all of you agents, some of the ways that you can get entries for Agent of the Month for our raffle. It's you can sign up for floor shifts, a new listing or new sale contract, closing an escrow, hosting and representing Wine Country Group at a community event, and interacting with Wine Country Group social media content. Just to kind of go over some of March's entries, we had a total of 351 entries, which is great. It's an increase from last month. We had 158 floor shifts, 51 new listings, 74 new sales, which is a big increase from last month. We had 69 closed escrows. Unfortunately, we had 0 hosted events. So hopefully this month with April and Easter and more holidays coming up, hopefully we'll see more hosted events. Shout out to Jessica Spencer for having the most social comments on our social media page, and Medea Nelson for having the most social shares. So thank you guys for interacting with our social media. Really appreciate it. And then further to do, I'm very happy to announce this winner for March is Medea Nelson.
Hey, Mariah. Hey.
So congratulations, very, very well deserved. We'll be reaching out to you shortly today to kind of get more information and how we can promote this on all of our social media platforms. So again, thank you to all of the agents who participated, and we'll be looking at and see who won for April. So thank you guys so much again.
And what is the award for winning this Agent of the Month?
So you get $200 in marketing credits. You also get a little goodie bag and fun stuff from us, like branded materials. And then you get a social media post across all of Wine Country Group social media, Facebook and Instagram. So a little highlight.
Go, go, go. All right. Thank you very much. And Ashley's going to send that around via email to everyone today also. Great. I saw Randy for a moment. You can see I'm wearing my Golden State Warriors shirt from the game the other night.
Ooh,
Hispanic recognition night or something, you know, sort of a little Hispanic thing.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, gonna get started on my contract stuff. I only have a few things today. Got a question about whether we have a listing that's basically 3 commercial lots, and one of the lots has an old duplex on it, but it's a commercial property. It's not really residential property. So our agent called Isaac Raboy, one of our commercial agents, and said, because it's a duplex, does the seller have to do TDS on it? And I said, well, it's being sold as the 3 lots are being sold and they're zoned commercial. I said, is the duplex habitable? Can someone live in it? And he said, no, it's dilapidated and it's not livable. So in that case, I said, no, you don't have to, he wouldn't have to do a TDS because it's not a habitable unit. We have had cases, Michael Crane had a vineyard one time. He was selling commercial vineyard, which had a well-established home on it. And it was also being sold as commercial property, but that home was habitable and was going to be used by new purchaser as actually they were going to convert it to a tasting room. But even though they were going to use it for commercial purposes, it was a current usable residence. And so we did have that seller do a TDS. So it really depends on the habitability in that situation. We had a question come up around the disclosure of a report that was provided by a buyer who then canceled the transaction. Now, as you know, the RPA provides that the buyer is obligated to provide all reports they get during their transaction, a copy to the seller. Most often the seller has to ask for it because the buyer doesn't do that voluntarily. But it is a requirement under the contract. In this case, the buyer, the first buyer was a contractor, and he got a report saying the foundation was needed lots of repairs. You know, you got an engineer's report. It was a valid report, but the seller disagreed with the results of the report from the engineer. So the seller paid to have 3 other engineers look at the foundation, and all of those 3 came in and said the foundation was fine. So the buyer couldn't get a credit for the foundation, which he was looking for. So that buyer canceled, but he was angry, and he said to our agent, he says, well, you have to disclose, you have to put my report in your disclosure package. And, you know, the question was, is that true? Is he obligated? He said we're obligated by, the seller is obligated by state law to put his report in the seller's disclosure package. Well, that's not accurate. The state law does not require that seller to disclose a prior buyer's report, particularly if it's contradicted by the other reports. Since it was in the seller's possession and also in our possession, it becomes a question of whether it's a material fact, because what the seller is obligated to do under state law is disclose all material facts that may affect the value of the property. So I don't know how it turned out. I mean, that was our answer. Well, if the seller believes it's a material fact affecting the value of the property, then they better disclose it. Remember, our mantra that we get from Bill Jansen is disclose, disclose, disclose. That's the counsel to our sellers. So that's the counsel we give them. Say, hey, disclose it, but also disclose your other 3 reports that contradict the first report. But it's really ultimately the seller's choice as to whether they think that's a material fact affecting the value of the property. So I don't know what the outcome was, but there was no state law requirement for the seller to disclose that report. One of our agents had a listing, or maybe she was representing a buyer. I don't know, doesn't really matter. But she was required to do an AVID on the property. It was, you know, either she was, because she had the listing or because she had the buyer, one way or the other, she was required to do an AVID. But unfortunately, she contracted COVID. So she was under quarantine. She said, well, I can't go do my AVID because I'm quarantined. Can I get a waiver of doing the AVID for that reason? And what do you think? Who's going to give me the answer to that? Not you, Heather. Somebody else. Come on. Is the agent excused from doing the AVID because they have COVID?
I would think not.
I would say no as well.
Okay, yes, no. So what is the solution there?
Delegate.
Delegate, right. Go have a colleague do the AVID for you. It's okay because, you know, all these forms eventually trace back to the broker, which is me. They could call me and I could go do the AVID form. But and under the right circumstances, I'd be happy to do that. But I'm probably, I get in a lot fewer houses than you all do. But yeah, call a colleague and say, hey, listen, I'm quarantined. I need to do this AVID. Can you go do it for me? So that's all doable and allowable, and that's the solution we ended up with in that case. And my last thing today, unless anybody has a question on a different matter, has to do with we have a listing that's a property that has 2 manufactured homes on it. A buyer came along and unbeknownst to us, they were applying for a conventional loan, and conventional loan generally is going to have to meet Fannie Mae standards. Well, Fannie Mae will not accept a property that has 2 manufactured homes on it. So that the lender that was originally this first buyer had could not complete their purchase because they couldn't get that loan. So it basically means, you're going to need a portfolio lender, that's someone who keeps the loan rather than sell it to Fannie Mae. That might be a credit union or some other local savings and loan that holds on to the loans rather than sells them. But anyway, that buyer canceled because they couldn't get a loan. A new buyer came along, and the buyer's agent and the buyer had bought the buyer's agent had introduced the buyer to a loan agent who was a friend of the buyer's agent. So in our listing, we say as 2 in the public remarks and the private remarks, it says 2 manufactured homes on a blah, 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 blah lot, opportunity, but needs tender loving care, blah, blah, blah. But we describe in the public remarks that it's 2 manufactured homes. Well, through the buyer's agent, the buyer's lender requested that we remove the reference to the manufactured homes in the public remarks. And we don't know exactly why, but you can assume that they didn't want the lender to see that that was in the MLS profile, which therefore becomes potentially lender fraud. They're trying to deceive the lender that maybe do one of those loans that doesn't require an appraisal because it was under a certain value, so you can get a no inspection, if you visited the property, you knew they were manufactured homes. But if you didn't, and you were doing just a desk appraisal, the values were all there and all that sort of thing, and you looked at the MLS and it doesn't say manufactured home, you might not mark that in your appraisal remarks. So we checked with legal counsel and Bill said no, deny that request and don't remove that from the MLS. If that is a material fact affecting the value of the property, and it needs, it is proper to have, for us to have that in the MLS disclosures and the public remarks. So if you get weird requests from the other side of the transaction, we're happy to run them past legal counsel. We're all entitled to check in with the CAR hotline. I know many of you can call on that. If you never tried the CAR hotline, that's a good place to go. But we also have our risk management team, and that we're happy to answer the question. Heather, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just curious. I've had someone suggest before just removing the disclosure link so that the appraiser doesn't dive in and, really look at all the reports and things.
Well, the disclosure link is a convenience, not a real. You wouldn't say in the remarks, the public remarks, let's say you have a pest report in there that has a $10,000 repair. You wouldn't say in the public remarks, pest report, we have a pest report that has a $10,000 repair.
Right.
So that's essentially what you're doing when you're putting your disclosures in the link. So I would be a little more open to removing your disclosures from the link than, a statement that you put in that states out front, these are manufactured homes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a big difference. Yeah, Eric?
Is there not a distinction between manufactured and mobile home? In that there's some very expensive manufactured homes like blue homes and some mega homes that are manufactured.
Yeah,
And this seems like they should be available for conventional financing.
yeah, I think I'm not that familiar with all that, and they may be, because I think there's a quality of stick-built construction in some of those final assembly of some of those final houses. These two particular manufactured homes required a certificate. I think it was a 4368 or something like that. Has someone heard about that kind of thing? Heather's saying yes. So there's some form that you have to apply to the local government agency, that in this case, Napa Planning Department, and they have to approve. And what that form says is that the units were attached to the foundation in a proper manner. So these were brought in, attached to a permanent foundation, and that attachment had to be reviewed by the public agency, and a form was given for that. Now, I don't know about your blue homes and things like that, other types of manufactured homes that may not have that particular thing where you're bringing them in and setting them in place and then attaching them. So it may vary from the type. You may be exactly correct. It may vary upon what type of manufactured home you're dealing with.
I think there's something too about the age of it.
Okay.
Like, I know there was different requirements for homes like pre-1976, I want to say, and those for sure are a big issue. They're much harder to lend on, so
Okay.
that may be a factor as well.
Right. Okay, yeah, if you're taking the listing, I know we've had listings that have both conventional homes on them and a manufactured home. And I think that's less of a problem for the lender than having just manufactured home on it, particularly two. So, okay, any other transactional questions, contract questions you got for me this week?
Actually, yeah, I do have a question, Gary. So I'm helping a client buy a very unique property up in Healdsburg. It's actually a 60-acre rock quarry with no structures on it, but it does have a well house. Do we need to do a final walkthrough or a final verification of property condition?
What contract did you use?
We used a vacant land purchase agreement.
Does that provide for a final walkthrough?
It does.
Well, then you have to do it.
Okay.
I mean, you can contractually waive it if the buyer is willing to waive it and says, I don't need to do a walkthrough. But if the contract provides for it, it's a contract provision, and then you should deal with it in one way or the other.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there is the well house, and then there's some heavy equipment that needs to be removed. So I guess that's what we'd be verifying.
Yeah, probably. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Good luck with that. And it's the first quarry I think I've known we sold.
Yeah, it's a doozy. Let me tell you, it's an adventure to get up to the property. It took us 3 trips, and the seller had to come down from Washington State and clear trees out, and
Wow.
it's been an interesting experience.
What road is it up?
Pine Flat Road, 5145 Pine Flat Road, overlooking Alexander Valley.
Yeah, I've been up that road, and it is quite a ways up.
Yeah, it's and there's no property addresses along the road up, so you just kind of have to keep following trails until you get lucky.
Yeah, there's some good vineyards up there apparently too.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Good luck with the transaction.
Thank you.
Okay, Heather, I'll let you take on from here.
Okay, great. Well, what I wanted to cover today is adding a couple of things to your website that we weren't able to get to in the classes the last few days. Can you guys, is my volume okay? It feels really echoey in here. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. So let me share my screen, and if you haven't set up your website yet, you I would recommend getting together with one of the admin. They can walk you through it, or if you see me in the office or want to set up a time, I can help you with that as well. Or there was those 2 webinars that were set up, or there was 1 webinar on websites. And you can just start playing it, pause it, go over to your website and do all the steps and you'll get set up. This is the homepage for the website that I have set up. And what I'm going to show you today is how to manage this featured properties section. And if you want to add the open house section to your website. It's kind of cool. I love I don't know, I think the open house thing is really cool. People can go on and see what the open houses are, and they can go, look through all the open houses for the weekend, and it will automatically keep it updated for what the open houses are for the coming weekend. So let me take you over to the, let me see how it's gonna let me do this. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. I have to bring it down a little so I can see it. If you've already set up your website, you are familiar with this creation tool. This is, you access this through Greenhouse, and then you go into my website, and there's a couple steps to get the initial setup. And then this is where you do all of the changes you want on your website. So to add those 2 pieces, the first thing you want to go into is here on the left side, which says property lists. This is where you can edit that first section, the featured properties. You can also create a list if you want to on a separate page. So if you want, let me just pop into property lists. If you want to do a separate page on your website of all of your sold properties, you could do that. You could create a my solds listing property list and then add a page, and then that page would be all your sold properties. You can either add a new list, or you can edit any of these default lists that you want. Let's see. So for instance, here is, where is featured properties? Okay, so if you want let's go ahead and add a new list. You can title it whatever you want. So if you want, to have that featured properties and you want to set it up to have a certain number or certain listings, you can create that here. So you could just call it featured properties or whatever you'd like it to be named. I'm not going to do it because I've already done this. I don't want a second one. And then you can choose in here what you want. So you might want, for instance, your office's active listings. I think this is a good way to go because our offices are pretty spread out. You can also choose your company's active listings, but then it's going to be, all of them. And so if you don't want things that are out of your area, then you might go with your office listings. It's up to you on that. So you just create that. You can add in a particular listing. So if you've got a really amazing listing that you want highlighted, you could put in just one listing so it pops up right at the bottom. The only thing is you need to remember, once that sells, you got to come in and change it. So I tend to like to set up things just not so I don't have to remember to ever come in and do anything. So I'm going to click here on my office's active listings, and then it's going to actually list out all the active listings. This is another instance. If you want certain ones to show up or not to show up, you can change that. But again, you have to remember to go in and update it periodically. So for instance, if there's ones, if you do the whole company and you don't want out of areas, so maybe I don't want Healdsburg, you can click on, oops, sorry, not click on that. You can click on hide, and then it's going to put it down into hidden properties. Once you have this set up the way you want, you just click publish, and then it's going to be available to you on the home page. Now, that is just for setting up that featured properties section. This one here, this very top one, I just like it to show 2 properties. You can have it show, I think, up to 6 at a time. I like it just kind of simple, but you can set it up, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Now we're going to take a look at the open house section, how to add that onto your homepage. that you do by, you first have to actually go to, you're gonna go into custom search, but you are gonna create a search on your actual website page and then bring it over and paste it into the homepage. So when you're working on your website and you wanna see what it looks like, you just click here on the top left on visit site. Let me move this up a little more. There you go. Hopefully you guys. Right? You just click on visit site. Whoops, that's not what I meant to make it bigger. There we go. Now I've got a whole, there we go. Okay. And then your site will come up like this. So what you do is if you want to add in that open house guide, then up in the search bar, you start a search. Okay, I want to feature all of the homes, the open homes in Sonoma County. All right, you click on search. You can put in your city, you can put in whatever, you can even put in an address and then filter it out from there. So for in any search you want to set up on there, if you want to just feature houses in Santa Rosa or just in Sonoma, then you can do that. You just put the location here and then you can feature certain price range. But if you wanted to do the open houses, then sorry, I forget to say things sometimes. You click on filter and there's the open houses. So you can click on those, in person and virtual, and then choose the time frame. I just like it for it to be this weekend. And then you click apply. Now, let me move these photos a little bit out of my way. So this is showing you all of the open houses this weekend in Sonoma County. Now that's a lot. So I think if I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to probably change it to the city. So I'm going to change it to Sonoma. What are the open there? Now that can't be right. There's no homes open this weekend in Sonoma. Let me do Santa Rosa.
I don't know.
What's that? There we go.
Okay, you got some.
Yep, I got Santa Rosa. So, you want to think about how you want it to look. It's going to show 3 open homes and then they can scroll through to see more. But if you wanted to make it more limited, so maybe you say, well, I like this, but that's an awful lot. And my clients tend to, they're not going to be really looking at this $5 million home. If you want to exclude anything based on price, you can. So you can say, oh, I only want to show homes from 500 to whatever, whatever you want to do, whatever it is, and you click apply. Once you have it the way you want it, what you're going to do is you're going to get that URL from up in the search right here, and you're going to copy it. So Control-C, or on a Mac, what is it? I always forget. Anyways, no Mac
Command-C.
users. All right. Well, anyway, so you copy the URL for that search, and then you're going to go back into the cancel. You're going to go back into the admin tool, and you're going to go to custom search down on the left side, and you can do add new. Yes, leave the page. It was asking me that because I didn't publish it. All right, you can see I already have one in here, Sonoma County open houses. But you're going to just create add new search. And then you can title it whatever you want, Sonoma or Santa Rosa open houses, whatever title you want it to be. Rosa open houses. And then you're going to paste that URL from that search you did right here. You're just going to paste that in, super long, right? Because it's got all the details about that search that you did. And then right here, you got to see where it says the path must begin with search. So you'll see there's all this extra stuff before the word search. So you just want to delete that. So your URL needs to start with the word search. You want to remove anything before that. And then you just click save. It's gonna save that custom property search. And then again, you can either put it on the home page or you can create a separate page for it. If you want to put it on the home page, you just click here on home page. And if you guys, again, if you want help navigating this, I know the reason we did the classes the way we did the last 3 days is because it's easiest to learn this when you're actually doing it on your computer, right? Just hearing it can be, it's kind of a lot. So let us know if you want somebody to sit down with you and go through it. So when you're on the home page, a lot of you have already set up the photos you want, all the information. You're gonna scroll down to, here is your featured properties and a custom search module. This, I did the open houses in Sonoma County, but you can change this into any, whatever search you want it to be. If you wanted it just to be Sonoma open houses, or if you want it to be homes between 500 and 550,000 in Santa Rosa, whatever search you just created, you just pop that right in here. And this featured properties, I have it set to my office listings, and I just like it to show 2. You can switch it. I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to switch it to show 4 on the home page. And this shows the open houses that shows up to 20. So it takes the top 20, I guess, then they can scroll through those. I actually want that to be higher, so I'm going to put 40 on that. And then all you need to do is go all the way to the bottom and click publish. Then you can go back over to the site. Oops. I just need to, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go visit site, top left again. And you can see the changes I made. Scrolling down now, featured properties has 4. And the open houses is there. And you could scroll through and see up to 40 different open houses. I didn't change it to the one that had the lower prices, you can see. So anyways, that's how you can do that. If you want to add a whole page for your, say you wanted to do a separate page for all your sold listings, then you could come over here to site pages and you would just add a new page. So right now, by default, your website, unless you've added a page, has home, has properties, buying and selling. There's already information in there about buying and selling, but you can edit that. So if you put it in go in and edit it, put it in your own words. It's got your about you page, and I added this blog page, and then it's got a place that people can go in and sign up to receive the neighborhood news, which is a monthly email that goes out, and it's information listed or based on their zip code, because they have to give their zip code. So it's all the homes that are for sale and have sold in their zip code in the last month, I guess. So I'll pop back over to this. If you wanted to, like I said, if you want to add a page, see, right now I'm going to go to all pages over here on site pages. So right now there is a home page, the properties page. You can choose what you want to show on that. There's that buying and selling page, about us, and I added the blog. Say you want to edit, well, let's see, first off, right here is add new. So if you wanted to add a page with just your sold listings, you can do that right here. And if you want to edit one of these pages, like here's buying and selling, you just click on editing or edit. Oh, that's just changing the title, the menu. So go into buying and selling. Here's the buying and selling tips. Click edit on that. And then you can actually change the photo. You can change the verbiage, everything. So it's in your words and it tells people what you want them to know about buying and selling. For all of these, make sure any changes you make, you go all the way to the bottom and either click save or publish. And that way it will show up on the site. that's what I got. Any questions about that?
Looks great. Thank you very much.
You bet. Get these websites up and going. Make sure, if you have any questions at all, if any of you weren't able to make it to the classes, just check in with an admin or let me know and I can help.
What's the default name of, before you change the name of your website, what's the default name that you search under?
Oh, so it starts when you first open up the website, you have to decide, you have to put in something. And it's like I put in my name, Heather Thurber, and then it's sites.bhgrealestate.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's in that, let's see, where's share? Is it share? Yeah, I can show you real quick. When you go back to home and you all the way down to the bottom of home, there is right here to set up a vanity domain name. So if you don't want to use that heatherthurber.sites.bhg, it's really simple. You go in here, there's a form you fill out, you submit it, and then they will take care of pointing whatever your vanity domain name is to that site.
Great. Okay. There was a question that if you have, I think the question, let me look at the chat here. Are they everyone's open houses or just our company's open houses?
That's, I believe it's all open houses that weekend. That's a good question.
Yeah, it looked like if you had that many, those weren't all our listings. So.
Right, right, yeah. There might be a way to just have it be our companies, but I think it's just all open houses.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Heather today? All right, you want to tell them what's happening next week, Heather? Are we on?
Yeah, that'd be great. So
Which
next
one?
week, we have Amy Charoux. She used to be with Better Homes and now she's got her own consulting company. She is gonna come during this time to tell us all about cryptocurrency and how it is what's happening with cryptocurrency in real estate and how people are using Bitcoin and all the different cryptocurrencies to purchase, buy and sell real estate now. So come at 11, I'll send out a flyer probably this afternoon or Monday morning with a little more info, but yeah, it's gonna be a good class because we're starting to see properties say Bitcoin okay, and you're gonna start having people ask about it, so be good to know.
Yep, good. Thank you very much, and if there's no other questions, we'll sign off for today, and everyone enjoy the weekend. Thanks, Heather.
All right, thank you, bye everybody.
Bye.